Hey, hello and welcome to my session on management of risk. Today, in this particular session, I'm going to talk about three important things which are related to management of risk. Number one, the purpose of management of risk principles. Number two, what do the MOR principles support? And number three, what are the management of risk principles? So let's start this particular session by understanding what are the management of risk principles and what is their purpose. So when we talk about the management of risk, it is also abbreviated as MOR. This defines the risk as an uncertain event or the set of events which, should it occur, will have an effect on the achievement of the objectives. So a risk is measured by the combination of the probability of a perceived threat or opportunity occurring and the magnitude of its impact on the objectives. So within this definition, the threat is used to describe an uncertain event that would have a negative impact on an objective and opportunity, and is used to describe an uncertain event that would have a favorable impact on the objectives. So when we talk about MOR, that is management of risk, these principles are having certain important points. Number one, a mindset. This means that these principles gives a mindset to the management, to the stakeholders, as to how one should go with the risk management and what are the plans, procedures, actions should be taken under the risk management. Number two, the management of risk principles are generally considered as one of the best practices. So this provides the organizations a plan as to how they can set the best practices for the risk management in their organization. Number three, it keeps you aligned with the management of risk guide that talks about the records, that talks about the plans, that talks about the procedures, that talks about the strategy, etc. Number four, they are high level. It means that the principles are generally assumed and they are being developed and they are being followed by the organizations considering their activities, initiatives, and the project goals. And therefore, it is very important for the stakeholders and the top management to imbibe and to incorporate these risk principles in their overall risk management strategy. Number five is they are universally applicable statements. It means that irrespective of the size, the nature, the type of the organization, they are applicable universally. So principles are generally characterized as universal, self-validating and empowering. So they are formed by corporate governance principles and ISO, that we call it as International Organization for Standardization, and there is a specific standard for the risk management, that is ISO 31000 2009. So organizations need to learn and adapt to remain competitive in an uncertain world. The organizations are different and require different arrangements to manage the risk. So actual risk practices will be shaped by the context, size, and extent of operations and services and the inherent uncertainties of the work being undertaken. So the management of risk principles are foundations from which the scalable context specific practices can be developed and they can be continually refined. So there are 8 principles which I'm going to talk further in this particular session. These ensures the successful risk management in any organization. Moving ahead, let us try to understand the purpose of management of risk principles. So understanding what a risk is and why and when we should do the risk management and how risk management is a part of your corporate governance and internal control, the management of risk principles are generally essential for the development and maintenance of good risk management. They are intended to guide an organizations to develop its own approach to meet their specific needs. Now, the question comes, what do the management of risk principles generally support? So, the focus of the management of risk principle is on the flexibility of the framework. That means it can be applied to any organization regardless of the size or the location. Number two, the principles are designed to guide rather than dictate, so the organizations can develop their own policies, processes, and strategies with the plans to help them meet the specific needs. Number three, they are informed by the corporate governance principles and international standards, that is ISO 31000 2009. Number four, they are intended to guide rather than dictate. It means the principles are helpful to the organizations to develop their own policies, processes, strategies, and plans to meet the specific needs. Furthermore, when we talk about ISO 31000 2018, the standard which talks about the risk management guidelines, they list the 8 principles for any solid risk management program, and these are highlighted over here as: number 1, alignment with the objectives; number 2, fits the context; number 3, engaging with the stakeholders; number 4, providing a clear guidance; number 5 is informed decision making; number 6, facilitation of the continual improvement; number 7 is creating a supportive culture; number 8 is achieving a measurable value. So the first 7 principles which I just mentioned over here in this particular session are the enablers. They allow the management of risks to be implemented effectively. The eighth principle, that is the achievement of the measurable value, is not a principle generally, but it is the outcome of successfully implementing all the 7 principles. So we can say that this is the result of implementing the risk management well. So the management of risk should not just be a compliance led activity, but it should clearly demonstrate a return on investment. So in this particular session, I talked about what are generally the management of risk principles, what is their purpose, and what are the 8 universal management of risk principles. In my further session, I'm going to explain you in detail about these 8 principles and the associated documentations and the jargons which are associated with the management of risk topic. Till then, stay in touch. Thank you so much.